Hi, welcome to our ProAV Academy series on tech terms, where we sit down with Alister Chapman and chat through some of the technical terms that just come up again and again in this industry. Alister is one of the best people I know at explaining complex technical concepts, so hopefully, just by casually chatting with him each one of these terms through, these videos can just help clear up some of the confusion that might be out there on each of these terms. Today, we're talking black balancing, why it's important and how often you need to do one. So I often find customers are very familiar with white balancing, but you mentioned black balancing to them and they often just have never really heard of it or thought about it or considered it at all. So can we go over a little bit what black balancing is and why that's important?
Okay, so if we look at what white balance is first, most of us know that white balance, you set your white balance so that your whites are white.
Sure.
And as a result of having correct whites, then generally the rest of your colours look okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we need to do the same at the other end as well, because if our blacks aren't truly black, then all your darker parts of the image will have a colour shift to them. So if our black is slightly red, then we'll introduce a slight red tint into our shadow areas. So it's just as important that periodically we do a black balance as well. Now the reason we don't have to black balance nearly as frequently as we do white balance is because black is no light, and so it's not affected by colour temperature in the same way that white, which is lots of light, is affected by the colour temperature of our light source. So several things are going on when we black balance. First of all is making sure that the red, green and blue, when they're black, are all absolutely at zero. So 0 red, 0 green, 0 blue, and that should give us a nice solid black. But what also happens with most modern cameras when you do a black balance is it also evens out the brightness of the pixels. So not only are they making sure they're at 0, but they're the camera will be trying to ensure that the black level is correctly set for every single pixel, which helps reduce noise in your shadows, which helps control problems like hot pixels. So we often perhaps see these pixels, you might see a pixel in your image that's particularly bright, and black balance will either restore that to black as it should be, or if it is a pixel that sometimes we call them stuck pixels, it will bypass that pixel and read the adjacent one. So
I think a lot of people don't realise that that happens. It happens a lot. Every single pixel, every single display, every single sensor that has issues. It's just how obvious those issues are and whether those issues are being corrected for as to whether or not they become a problem.
Yes, and this is one of the areas where black balancing, especially if you're a one-man band actually, if you're a self-shooter, somebody that goes out and is using just the viewfinder on the camera, a small LCD screen or something like that, you're the guys that really need to be doing your black balancing on a regular basis, because very often your display, your screen, is operating at a lower resolution than the camera. So if you're shooting with a 4K camera, there's 4,000 by 2,000 more or less pixels there, but if your screen is only HD, you're not seeing every single pixel.
Sure.
So you could have a pixel that is brilliant bright white and you won't see it on your viewfinder or your screen. And you're not going to see it until you get back to the grading suite or the edit suite on a big screen. It's like, oh damn, I've now got to fix that in post. And it's, yes, we can do it, but it's extra work.
Sure.
So it's important to do it on a regular basis. You should do it whenever you are going from hot to cold. So if you're shooting in a cold environment and then move to hot, you should do it. Cameras are sensitive to heat. So hot sensor will tend to show up more problems than a cold one. So you work in a hot tropical environment, something like that, you should do it more regularly. You should always do it after you fly anywhere with your camera.
Okay.
So when you go up at high altitude, the camera sensor is subject to more cosmic rays and particles from space than it is at ground level. The atmosphere helps absorb a lot of them, and that can lead to more stuck pixels and hot pixels, so especially transatlantic flights or long haul over the ocean type flights. So you should always do it after one of those. And it's just generally good for the sensor to do it on a regular basis. It sort of, I don't know if it actually does flush the sensor out, but it certainly restores everything to the right levels, gets your blacks where they should be, helps with fixed pattern noise and all of those things. So it's good regular maintenance that you should be doing on your camera. And it's very simple.
What is the process? I mean, obviously this changes from camera to camera. But
Generally speaking, it's exclude all light from the sensor. So that's whether you have a cap on the lens or the cap on the camera body, doesn't matter which. You don't have to have a lens on the camera to do a black balance. And then there will be a function somewhere in the menu of the camera to perform a black balance. Going beyond black balance, most cameras now also have another function that's related called APRN, automatic pixel noise reduction, and black masking. And that's either going to be a separate function in the menu, APN or something like that it'll be called, and you do that, just takes a little bit longer. Or sometimes doing 4 or 5 black balances in a row will trigger that function.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you just keep black balancing. So if you're looking at your camera and you have one of these stuck pixels, sometimes just black balancing 5, maybe 6 times eventually will get rid of it.
Interesting.
So you just keep going, keep going. Certainly black balancing doesn't do any harm.
Sure.
So you won't do any harm by black balancing too many times. So if you've got stuck pixel problems, just keep going, keep trying, and hopefully eventually it will find it and deal with it.
Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. Keep in mind, we also do a whole range of ProAV Academy workshops held right here in our UK showroom, where we cover a whole range of topics, from audio to post-production, camera techniques, business tips, lighting tips, and many more. The main aim of these workshops is to help our customers learn and develop their skills. And there's something about face-to-face training which can just never be replaced by videos like this one. So if you're in the UK, please do get a ticket from the link down below and join us for ProAV Academy.